My fiancée called me her sad money bag behind my back, so I left without saying anything. But what happened next showed all she tried to keep secret. I am a man who is 36 years old. I was going to marry Tiffany, a woman who is 32 years old. We were close for almost 6 years. I have my own work fixing and building places. I made it from zero after I quit school. I began with only me and my truck. Now 14 men work for me. We fix up medium-sized business buildings in 3 areas. The work is not fancy, but I make good money and I work for myself. Tiffany works as a boss who sells ads at a place with many business people. When we met at my cousin's food party, she seemed very interested that I work with my hands. She said it was nice and new compared to the soft office men she usually met. I should have known I was just a new thing for her. Tiffany was the kind of girl that makes people look when she walks in a room. She wears fancy clothes, has nice hair, and looks perfect. Now I know I was so busy feeling lucky that I did not see what was true. She was looking at me like a money chance, not like a mate. After about 2 years, I saw she began to want changes. Small things at first. My clothes were not good for eating with her work friends. My truck was too much like a work truck when we went to some places. We began living in the same house after 3 years. The house is mine. I bought it when no one else wanted it, and I fixed it up myself before we met. When she moved in, all at once, everything needed to be better. The kitchen was not good for having parties. The big bathroom needed fancy rock. I said yes too many times. I spent almost $80,000 to fix up the house to make it our space. What makes me sad now is thinking about how she would bring her work friends for food parties and show them the fixed up parts of the house like she made them herself. We picked the Carrara marble for the countertops, she would say, but what really happened is she told me to get it and I paid for it. My friend Drake, who has been with me since I started my work, told me she is trying to make you better like one of her work plans after he met her 3 times. I thought he was just being too worried. Drake saw things I did not see, like how Tiffany would put her body between me and important people at parties, ready to speak if I said something not good enough for her friends. I asked her to marry me last summer after I took her to Cancun. I spent $7,500 on the trip and $12,000 on the ring she had been showing me for months. Now skip to last month. I had been planning our party for getting married for weeks. I rented the whole top floor at Marcello's, that fancy Italian food place in town. I paid for a music group to play her favorite songs and planned a big meal with many parts. It cost me almost $11,000 for everything, but I wanted her to have a great night. Tiffany said she had to okay every small thing, but gave no money for the party. When I said we should each pay half, she laughed and said, "But you have the good work job." She forgot that her pay as a boss at a fancy company was really more than the money I took home after putting money back into my company. The party was going strong. I was talking with my brother Tony and Drake near the drinks when Drake pushed me. "Your girl is talking a lot over there." I looked and saw Tiffany with her 3 work friends all close in the corner. They were half hidden by one of those silly ice shapes she said we had to get, but I could see them well from where I stood. They did not know I was watching them. "He is safe and will stay," Tiffany was saying, "and his work makes good money, enough for that trip house in Aspen next year. The whole fix-it man thing was nice at first, but wow, he looks wrong at work parties." Her friend Heather laughed. "At least he looks nice. My man is losing his hair and getting a fat belly." "Yes, that's true," Tiffany said. "But really, the other day, one of the big bosses at work asked what Damien does, and I just said he runs building work. I could not make myself say he is just a fix-it man with a fancy name. You should have seen him try to talk to my boss at the Christmas party. It was like seeing a little kid try to sit with the grown-ups." They all laughed loud. Her friend Ashley spoke up. "But at least you got the ring you wanted. That thing must have cost him a lot of money. 3 months of his pay, as it should be." Tiffany smiled in a mean way. "It's funny, he thinks I'm with him because he wants to do big things. At the same time, I have Bradley from the law part of work texting me every weekend, asking when I will wake up and leave him." "You're bad," Ashley laughed with small sounds. "I'm smart," Tiffany said back. "Damon is easy to control. He thinks he got a girl much better than him, so he will do anything to make me happy. Watch this." She turned, acting like she was looking for me in the room. "I promise, he follows me like a dog. He wants me to like him so bad. It's almost sad." That's when we looked at each other. Her face turned white so fast I thought she would fall down. Her friends looked where she was looking and saw me standing there just looking at them. Drake and Tony were at my sides like guards. I said nothing, just looked at her for about 5 long seconds, then turned and walked right to the door. "Damon, wait," she said. She caught up to me at the place where you get your coat. "Baby, they were just joking."
You know how girls get when we drink? I looked at her with no face at all. "Go back to your friends. It sounds like you were having fun telling them what a joke I am." Then I walked out into the cold February night. Behind me, she was saying my name, but I just kept walking to my truck. As I drove away, I could see her in my mirror from the back of my car. She was standing in the car place in her dress that cost a lot of money. The black stuff she puts on her eyes was running down her face. When I got to my house, my phone had many messages and voicemails from Tiffany. I did not read or listen to any of them. Instead, I took out my computer and started making plans. First, I looked at all our money ties. We had a credit card together, but I was happy to see she could only use it with my okay. The money for the trip house was in a different account, but both our names were on it. We had the same phone plan. Her car that I said I would pay for if she didn't, because her money score was bad for a short time. I later found out this meant she owed $38,000 on her cards when we met. What most men don't think about in these times is the law part. I had seen enough bad breakups with my work friends to know that people who are going to get married have different law rules in different states. In our state, rings for getting married are seen as gifts with rules. If the wedding doesn't happen, the ring goes back to the person who bought it. The law was on my side for this, but I had to be careful about the car I said I would pay for and the accounts we shared. I spent the next 3 hours carefully fixing our money ties. I called the bank's all-day phone line to take her name off my main card. I changed all my secret words, moved my half of the trip house money to a new account, and wrote an email to my lawman, Steve, about what the law says when you break up before getting married in our state. It was about 1 in the morning when I heard her key in the door. I was sitting at the kitchen table, computer open, looking as calm as I have ever been. She came in fast with makeup lines down her face. "How could you just leave like that? Do you know how bad that made me feel? Everyone was asking questions. I had to make up a story about your work team having a big problem at a workplace." I just looked at her without talking for a moment, then said in a flat voice, "We are done. You have 30 days to find a new place to live and get your things out of my house." "What? Because of some stupid girl talk? Are you joking with me?" Her voice got higher. "It's over, Tiffany. I will not talk about it." Her whole way of being changed right away, like turning a switch from mad to crying and begging. "Baby, please. You know I didn't mean any of that. I was just trying to sound good for my friends. You know how Heather always wants to be better than everyone." I closed my computer and stood up. 30 days. I will sleep in the extra room. I will pay for power and water like I always do, but everything else, your car money, your cards, your $400 each month gym money, that is all your job now. "Where are you going?" she asked loud as I walked up the stairs to get some clothes. I drove to Drake's home. When I got there at 2 in the morning, he just gave me a drink and turned on the Xbox. We played a football game until the sun came up, just like we did before Tiffany started saying that men who play video games after 30 years old are not acting like grown-ups. Drake didn't ask me what happened, which was just what I needed. He just understood without words that sometimes a man needs time and space to think before he can talk. When the sun came up, I had decided what to do next. The next morning, her parents started calling me. Her dad, Joe, is a business lawman who has always treated me like I was not good enough, but tried to hide it. He's the kind of man who asks what kind of small business I have every time we meet, like he can't remember that I have more than 12 people working for me and do work that costs millions of dollars. I answered the phone just because I was curious in a bad way. "Damien, it's Joe. Kathleen is here too. We know something bad happened last night," he said. I let him talk for 7 whole minutes about young people making mistakes and how Tiffany has always liked to make things big and how I was making a private talk into something it wasn't. What he really meant was, our daughter needs your money help, so do what she wants. Joe had been counting on me to fix Tiffany's spending problem since our 2nd year together. I once heard him tell her that she had finally found someone who was smart with money, which meant someone who would pay her bills. When he finally stopped talking, I just said, "Joe, I heard your daughter very well. She has 30 days to move out. I hope we can be nice about this."
Then her mom got on the phone crying and talking about how Tiffany was so very sad and cried all night. "I'm sorry you were in the middle of this," I told Kathleen, "but this is not a mix-up. I heard exactly what she thinks of me." After I hung up, I blocked both their phone numbers. Then I drove to our main workplace and put all my mind into my work. My boss at the workplace, Miguel, looked at my face one time and knew something was wrong. "The getting married is done," was all I said. He just nodded and gave me a hammer. "Her loss, boss." Miguel had worked with me almost as long as Drake. He began as a workman and worked his way up to running whole workplaces. The man could build a wall perfectly in the dark during a big storm. More important, he knew when to talk and when to be quiet. When it was time to eat lunch, the hard work had made my mind clear. I made a new plan. Write down everything. In building work, you learn that talks that are not written down are not good. Everything gets written down, photographed, and signed. I decided to use the same ideas for the breakup. I called Steve, the lawman, from the workroom and set up a time to meet him that afternoon. I brought papers of our money ties, text messages where Tiffany had talked about things we bought together, and a list of important times in our relationship. Steve was happy with how ready I was. "You are thinking clearly. That's not common in these times." He said that when we were done meeting, I had a clear law plan. Since we were not married, the house was for sure mine. The savings account we shared would be split based on the papers I kept about who put in money. The ring for getting married was mine by law to get back since she had broken the getting married promise by what she did. The only hard part was the car loan, which would need her help to fix in a good way. When I got home that night, ready for a big fight, the house was empty. That was fine with me. I got sheets for the extra room, took a shower, and went to sleep early. Tiffany came home around 1 o'clock in the morning, clearly very drunk. I could hear her crying in the big bedroom, but I put in earplugs and went to sleep. The next few weeks went like this. I would leave for work before she woke up, come home late, and not act like she was there at all. My friend Tony called it the shadow game. To me, she was just a ghost in my house for a short time. Tony had gone through something like this with his old wife 3 years before. "The less you talk to her, the more it makes her crazy," he had told me. "They are used to having power over your feelings. When that goes away, they don't know what to do." He was right. Tiffany tried everything to get me to react. Crying that always started when I came into a room, yelling fights where she was the only one yelling, walking around in sexy clothes that 6 months before would have made me follow her like a young boy. When none of that worked, she tried making big meals and talking about our plans like nothing had happened. I just warmed up food from a restaurant and ate in the extra room or my workroom at home. One night, she left a folder of Trip House papers on my desk with a note, "I'm still happy about our future together." I gave it back to her with just a small paper note, "Please don't leave your things in my workroom." The house had become a mind-fight place, and I was winning by not fighting. In building work, you learn that sometimes the best thing to do is to just let things fall on their own. I used the same idea here. I didn't need to push her away, I just had to stop helping her and let her fall by herself. After about 2 weeks, all her friends started to bother me. Texts saying I was acting like a child and being mean. Her sister Caroline called to say she was worried about Tiffany's mind health. The only surprise was when her work friend Ashley texted to say she was sorry, saying she had always thought Tiffany treated me like a thing to show off, not like a partner. I actually called Ashley back. It turned out she had felt bad about how Tiffany acted toward me for years, but said nothing to avoid problems at work. "The way she talks about you when you're not there, it's like you're a work plan she's doing, not a person she loves," Ashley said. I should have said something sooner. That talk showed me what I already knew. I had been something to make her look good, not a partner. Then I did something that really made Tiffany mad. I started having friends come over. My work team would come after work for drinks on the deck outside. My brother started coming for dinner. My work partner Matt and I would put out plans for our new work building on the food table that Tiffany had said was too good for work papers. And then there was Kate, my new work boss for projects. She is 34 years old, not married anymore, has no kids, and very good with talking to people who pay us. Kate started coming over to look at work plans because my workroom at home has more space than our workroom at the job. Tiffany never liked her from the one time they met at the work Christmas party, saying Kate was too friendly with me. The truth was, Tiffany hated that Kate knew my work better than she ever tried to learn. Kate didn't just know my work, she respected it. Where Tiffany saw only building work, Kate saw the hard parts in what we did. She asked smart questions about how much weight things can hold and what things are made of. She could read work plans as easy as reading a fun book. 3 weeks after the getting married party, Kate and I were looking at some hard work plans at the food table. We were laughing about a silly thing a person who pays us wanted when Tiffany came in from a night out with her friends that had clearly included a lot of drinks. She looked at us one time, our heads close together over the plans, laughing at a joke only we knew, and you could almost see smoke coming out of her ears. Without saying anything, she walked fast up the stairs. 2 minutes later, she came walking loud back down and right out the front door, closing it so hard that one of her fancy plates on the wall fell and broke. She came back after midnight. "Are you having sex with her in our bed?" she said with slurred words as soon as she saw me. I looked up from my computer. First, it's my bed in my house. Second, no, I'm not having sex with Kate. And third, even if I was, it would not be your business. 6 years together, and you're already going to that work-stealing bad woman? I closed my computer. Think about finding a new place, Tiffany. You have 8 days left. I see how she looks at you with those sad eyes from someone who left her husband, probably opening her legs under the table while you're acting like you're looking at work plans. Go to sleep. You're making yourself look bad. That made her start yelling and saying mean things about everything she thought I felt bad about. From me not going to college to me not being good at talking to her work friends. I just walked up the stairs, locked myself in the extra room, and put on headphones that stop noise. What she didn't understand was that after 6 years of her small, mean comments, none of these bad words hurt me anymore. I had built a good work business without a college degree. The people who pay me respected me. My work team respected me. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of glass breaking. I ran down the stairs to find Tiffany breaking pictures of us in frames on the kitchen counter. "What are you doing?" I asked, which was the most feeling I had shown in weeks. "Getting you to notice me," she yelled, with black lines from her eye makeup down her face, even though it was 7 in the morning. "You can't just ignore me for weeks. We need to talk about this like grown-ups." I looked at the mess of glass and broken frames. "I'll talk to you when you clean this up and calm down." "No, you'll talk to me now." She picked up another frame and threw it at the wall. That's when I did my best move. I took out my phone, opened a program, and showed her the screen. On it was a bank account with money, specifically our trip house down payment money, but now it showed only half of what was there before. "What did you do?" she said quietly, with her face turning white. "I took my half," I said calmly, "the half I put in. You can keep your half, but we need all of it for the down payment. We can't get the loan without the full amount. Not my problem anymore." Her whole body seemed to get soft as she finally understood what was happening. The Aspen trip house she had been telling her friends about for months, gone. The thing that made her look good was gone. What she didn't know was that I had already talked to the house seller man and told him what was happening. He felt bad for me and gave back my money for the house without keeping any of it. Tiffany had been sent the email but clearly didn't read it. She was too busy trying to control me again. "You can't do this," she said with a weak voice. "Already did, and if you break one more thing in my house, I'll call the police and have them take you away today instead of letting you stay the full 30 days. She fell to the floor, crying for real this time. No acting, just the sad cry of someone watching their plans fall apart. I walked around her and left for work. That day, I did something I should have done years before. I had an honest talk with my work partner, Matt, about how we wanted to grow. For years, Tiffany had been telling me to take on bigger business work to make us look more important, even though we made more money on medium-sized jobs. Matt had been saying we should do what we are good at, but I had not listened to him to make Tiffany happy. "Let's do what we are best at," I told Matt when we ate lunch. "No more trying to get big jobs just to look important. Let's make people know us for doing good work and being someone they can count on." Matt smiled. "Good to have you back, man. I have missed the old you." That night when I came home, she was sitting calm at the kitchen table. The broken glass and frames were cleaned up. She looked like she had not slept. "Can we please talk?" she asked quietly. I nodded and sat across from her. "I'm sorry," she said. "What I said at the party was bad. I was just trying to look good for my friends. You know how they are, always trying to be better than each other about who has the best life." "Here's what I know," I said back. "I heard exactly what you think of me when you didn't know I was listening, and I believe people when they show me who they are. I was drunk and dumb. No, you were telling the truth for once. She started crying again. What can I do to fix this? Please, Damien, I'll do anything. I looked right in her eyes. Nothing. There's nothing you can do. We are done. But I love you. No, you love what I give you. There's a difference. I got up and walked away, leaving her sitting there. But when I got to the stairs, I turned back. By the way, I called the car place today. I'm taking my name off your car loan. You have until the end of the month to get a new loan on your own, or they will take your car. Her head came up fast. What? You can't do that. My money score is still not good enough to get a loan by myself. Again, not my problem. But I need my car for work. How am I supposed to get places? Not my problem anymore. Find a way. Her face looked sad. Please stop this. I'm begging you. 30 days to move out, 7 days to get a new car loan. Those are the only things I will talk to you about. What I didn't tell her was that I had already talked to Steve about the car. As someone who said I would pay if she didn't, I had the right to ask to be taken off if she could get a new loan. If she couldn't get a loan, the car place could ask for all the money now or take the car back. I was not going to be responsible for a $45,000 fancy car that she said she had to get even though I said no. 5 days later, I came home to see a moving truck in my driveway and Tiffany's parents helping her put boxes in it. I'm leaving today, she said when I walked in. My parents are helping me move to a new apartment. Okay, I said, putting my keys down. Need help with anything heavy? Really? That's all you have to say to me? I lifted my shoulders. What do you want me to say? I don't know. Maybe that you will miss me, that you're sorry it ended this way, something. I'm not sorry it ended. I'm just sorry I didn't see who you really were sooner. Joe walked in carrying a box marked kitchen. He gave me a small nod, then said to Tiffany, "That's the last of the kitchen things. Your mom is checking the bathroom one more time." When he was outside again, Tiffany looked at me with red eyes. I did love you, in my own way. Your way was not good enough. She reached in her bag and took out a check. Here, my half of the trip house money. I'm giving it back to you. I took the check and looked at it. Why? Because I need you to do something for me. A big thing. She took a big breath. The bank won't let me get a new loan for the car. I called everywhere. No one will say yes to me because I owe too much money. Please don't take your name off the loan just until I can make my money score better. I folded the check and gave it back to her. Keep it. You're going to need it for a down payment on a much cheaper car. Damien, please. I can't lose my car. I'll lose my job if I can't get to work on time. No way. I made a mistake. One dumb mistake. No, you showed me who you really are, and I believe you. Her mom walked in then, stopping the talk. An hour later, they were gone. Tiffany left her key on the kitchen counter without saying anything else. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept in my own bed. The next morning, I called my lawman again. She's gone. What's next? Steve told me to change the door locks right away and take pictures of how the house looks in case Tiffany tried to say she left things there. I spent the weekend taking pictures of every room, changing every secret word she might know, and making all my accounts send no papers in the mail so no mail would go to her by mistake. It has been 6 months since the getting married party, and my life has completely changed. The business is doing very well. We got 2 big business work jobs that will keep us busy for the next year. I bought my work partner Matt's part of the business and made Drake and Miguel partners instead of just workers. Drake had been with me from the start, saying no to jobs that paid more to help me begin. Miguel had shown me many times that he was the best work boss I had ever worked with. My brother Tony moved in for a short time after his own divorce, and it has been like being young again, but with more money and less feeling sick from drinking. The house is now a nice place again, where I can put my feet on the table in front of the couch without hearing about being nice to fancy furniture. As for Kate, we started dating 4 months ago. It turns out Tiffany being jealous was not completely wrong. Kate had always liked me, but respected rules too much to ever do anything. She is the opposite of Tiffany, truly interested in my work, happy in jeans and a shirt, and actually thinks it's great that I build things with my hands. Last weekend, she helped me build the frame for a new deck outside, coming in work shoes with her own tool belt. Our relationship grew in a natural way. She doesn't try to change me or say sorry for me to her friends, and I don't feel like I need to make her like me with expensive gifts or house fixes. Tiffany's life went the other way. The car was taken back 2 weeks after she moved out, just like I told her would happen.
Her company let people go, and even though she thought she was too important to be let go, she was one of the first to lose her job. Friends we both know say she had to move back in with her parents at 32 years old, which is exactly the kind of thing she used to make fun of other people for. I didn't feel happy about her bad times. In building work, you learn that what goes around comes around without you doing anything. Bad work always shows itself in the end, so does a bad person. The last best thing happened when I saw her sister Caroline at the food store. After uncomfortable small talk, she surprised me by saying, "You were lucky to get out. You know, Tiffany has been dating her boss from the new job, the one who is married. Mom and Dad are very upset." I just nodded and said, "I hope she figures out who she is someday." As I walked away, I couldn't help but smile a little. Not because I want bad things to happen to her, I really don't, but because I'm so happy I heard her talking that night. I almost made a legal promise to be with someone who saw me as only a money bag she was embarrassed to be with. Just when I thought I was done with the Tiffany problems, something else happened. About 2 weeks ago, I was finishing work at our biggest workplace when I got a call from a number I didn't know. It was Joe, Tiffany's dad. "Damien, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but we have a problem," he said. "What kind of problem?" He cleared his throat in an uncomfortable way. "It's about the Wellington Heights work." My blood felt cold. Wellington Heights was a very big business building project that my company had tried to get last month. Getting it would make our business twice as big right away. "What about it?" I asked carefully. "I'm on the group that is helping Prescott choose who will do the work," Joe said. "Tiffany found out, and she has been saying things that make people think your company doesn't have enough money for a project this big." "Are you joking with me?" I felt myself getting mad for the first time in months. "I'm not saying it's okay," Joe said fast. "In fact, I'm calling to warn you. The last meeting is Friday, and I've seen the short list of people. You're on it, but barely staying on because of these worries." I wasn't completely surprised. Tiffany knew exactly what to say to hurt me the most. She had learned enough about my business in 6 years to know what would bother me. Trying to hurt my work name was the one thing that could still make me mad. I thanked Joe in a cold way and hung up, then right away called my money helper. We spent the whole night making a full money report showing not just that we were stable, but how we had grown in the last 5 years. I included bank papers, tax papers, letters from people who pay us, proof that we could pay for big jobs, and papers showing how much money we expect to make. My money helper knew exactly what we needed to show. "You owe less money compared to what you make than 90% of builders your size," she said, "and your record of finishing work on time and on the amount of money agreed puts you in the best group in the country." The next morning, I sent the full report by email to Prescott with a well-written letter that talked about the worries directly. I wrote that while I respected the group that chooses who gets the job, I wanted to give more papers to show that any wrong information about my company's money was not true. I asked for a real meeting to talk about the report in person. 2 hours later, Prescott's helper called to set up a meeting for the next afternoon. I spent that night looking at every small part of the Wellington Heights plans, finding ways to save money and work better that were not in my first offer to do the work. When you build things for your job, you learn to look at every problem from many ways. Sometimes the easy way is not the best way. I found 3 places where using different things would save money without making the work worse, and a change in the order of doing things that would make the work finish 2 weeks sooner. These were not ways to do bad work. They were smarter ways that a builder with less experience might not think of. I came 10 minutes early for the meeting in my best suit. Prescott was alone in his office, my report open on his desk with parts marked and noted. "I'm glad you sent this," he said without small talk. "Direct and complete, just how I like to do business." "I believe in answering worries with facts, not just talk," I said back. "My company has no debt, 18% more money each year for the past 5 years, and enough ready money to do a project twice this size easily." Prescott nodded, looking at me. "The group had questions about your money stability. This answers them for sure." He pointed to my report. "But more important, we looked at your Riverside project yesterday. Great work." The Riverside project was a medium-sized office fix-up we just finished. Nothing fancy, but very good work with some new ideas for a hard airflow problem. It was exactly the kind of work I was most proud of. Useful, strong, and done in a smart way. We spent the next hour talking about specific parts of the Wellington Heights project. I explained my plan to do the work, when it would be done, and the extra ways to save money I had found. All about work, no drama.
One more thing, Prescott said as we were finishing. I heard there might be some personal things affecting the group's worries about your company. I kept my face, not showing anything. My personal life and my business are completely separate. They always have been. Good, he nodded. That's what I told the group. I don't care about talk about people's lives. I care about who can finish the work on time and on the amount of money agreed. 2 days later, I got a call from Prescott himself. We had gotten the Wellington Heights job, a project that would make my company do well for many years. I right away called Drake and Miguel to my office to tell them the news. We would need to hire at least 6 more men and buy more work tools. They were very happy. This was exactly the kind of chance to grow that we had been working for. Should we celebrate tonight? Miguel asked. No, I said. Let's wait until we start the work, then we'll celebrate. The next day, Joe called again to say happy about me getting the Wellington Heights job. I kept the talk short and about work, telling him clearly to keep his daughter away from my business. He made a sad sound and said that he and Kathleen saw things differently now, finding what Tiffany did after the breakup showed who she really is. I didn't care much about their sudden understanding after letting her act like she deserved everything her whole life. Joe also said he didn't vote in the end, making sure I knew I got the job fairly. Too little, too late. 2 days later, Tiffany sent me a text about hearing I got the Wellington job. I didn't answer. She then sent news about her car being taken back, losing her apartment, and moving back with her parents while working as a helper for half the money she made before. When she asked for money help, I just said no. She begged that I must still care because I'm a good person. You're wrong about both things, I told her calmly. I'm just a fix-it man with a fancy name, remember? And I stopped caring when I heard what you really think of me. Her last ask for help got me sending her a link to a job for a person who greets people at one of my clients' businesses. It paid enough for a cheap apartment and bus money. That was the only help I gave. When she knew that was all I would give, I told her good luck and blocked her number for good. The Wellington Heights project starts next week. This morning, I signed the last papers for Drake and Miguel to be partners. The company now has 3 equal partners instead of just me. It feels right, sharing both the risk and the good things. To any man reading this who thinks his partner sees him as just money or a work plan, pay attention to how she talks about you when she thinks you can't hear. That's the real truth. Everything else is just a show. I have learned a lot in these months. The most important thing is to value the people who value your work, not just your money. We have a saying, how strong the base is determines how tall you can build.